Entrepreneur Upasana Konidela, who is married to Telugu actor Ram Charan, has responded to the backlash she received online over a recent post advising women to freeze their eggs, saying, "Happy to have sparked a healthy debate." Earlier, Upasana had shared a post about recent interaction with students at IIT Hyderabad. At the event, Upasana said freezing their eggs was the biggest insurance for women because it helps them decide when they want to get married and have kids on their own terms, allowing them to wait until they are financially independent. However, Sridhar Vembu, co-founder of Zoho Corporation, reacted to Upasana's post and said that he, on the contrary, advises young entrepreneurs to marry and have kids in their 20s, further deviating away from what Upasana had recommended during a speech there at IIT Hyderabad. And well, to talk more on this and how Upasana's freezing eggs comments has perhaps sparked controversy here in India, I'm now being joined by Saira Shah Halim, women rights activist. Welcome to NDTV, Saira. Upasana earlier today has gone on to say that she is happy to spark a conversation, which she has. First up, what are your views on this statement passed by Upasana, where she goes on to say that women's biggest insurance is freezing her eggs? Do you think that she has perhaps gone oblivion to the socio-economic parameter here in the country?
Yeah, so good evening. I think it's a pertinent question. Being a mother herself, I had my kid in my early 20s. So now there are two things here. First is definitely as a woman, I agree that it gives more autonomy to a woman's reproductive choices. However, second, we need to factor in the costs.
Yeah.
Because if we kind of give this message outside that egg freezing is a very simple exercise, it's not. It's very complicated and it's a very expensive procedure. And, we have to look at the affordability parameters because it's not available to so many women. Then there's also a lot of medical uncertainty around egg freezing. So are we ready for that? That is the big question because it's not a guaranteed solution. And I would say it is an exception and not the norm because as medical practitioners advise, the success rate largely remains very low. So I feel it cannot replicate a biological cycle of a woman, because end of the day, everyone would want to conceive, through the natural process. Then also, since I know of women friends who have gone through this procedure, it can take a toll on one's mental health, And there's so many myths surrounding. So I feel there's a lot of misinformation that is floating. But at the same time, I agree that yes, if you can afford to do it, and if you're in the position to freeze your eggs, many women have taken the route, and I'm completely with them, because why not? If your income gives you the choice to choose and delay motherhood, why not?
Okay.
However, we need to be very clear about the communication that we're sending out to the general public. A is a cost factor, B is the medical uncertainty, then the emotional toll, and the lack of information that is, on social media and everything. So there are two factors we need to keep in mind. Yes.
Right, absolutely. But what Upasana went on to the stage there in IIT Hyderabad, and she advocated for freezing eggs, like you also pointed out that not everyone can afford. It's perhaps an expensive procedure. A lot of doctors have also come out and voiced their opinions, and they've said that it does not guarantee pregnancy in all circumstances. Netizens are now calling Upasana tone deaf. While we've spoken about Upasana's side of comments, let's talk about Vembu Sridhar's side as well. What he goes on to say is that women in their 20s should get their married, and the demographic pressure is perhaps only on them. How do you perceive those comments? And if you had to perhaps choose a middle ground here, what would that be? Because both these opinions are extremely extreme.
I think that's a little bit of moral policing, where you kind of set a timeline on women, when women should get married and when they should, have children. I think women should get married when they are mentally, emotionally, and physically ready to take that huge leap. And yes, Yeah, there is always a factor of the biological clock, but I think that doesn't define, what a woman or what a marriage is all about. There's so many couples who have chosen to go child free, and it's completely their agency, is completely their choice. So I think telling a woman now the clock is ticking and you get married now before 30 is, I feel, a bit of moral policing here. And I feel what needs to be iterated is for women to get married when they are ready for it, and not, it doesn't need to be age specific. A lot of women have found happiness at the age of getting married in their 30s as well. And it's fine. I mean, if they're going through a late pregnancy, it's perfectly okay, as long as, the choice is informed, as long as both the respective partners are in the know-how of how to take forward. I think it's all right to delay motherhood. Everyone doesn't need to get married at 21 and have children by 25.
Right.
There are choices available, and I feel medical science has advanced a lot, and we can avail of those facilities that are available to women.
Right, Saira. While you say that there are medical choices available, but earlier we spoke about how that all these medical choices and these operations, procedures require a lot of financial support as well. Women in their 20s are perhaps stuck in this conundrum of either starting a family or perhaps being career focused. What perhaps could be a middle path for all these women if they want to do both, and how?
Is that to me?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I think the middle path is, there shouldn't be any pressure for women to get married per se. There are a lot of women who have, who have adopted children, and they're very clear about it. But yes, it is an issue. I feel middle path would be to, be married when you're mentally ready. And I think mentally ready doesn't mean that you turn 60 or 65 and then get married. We need to understand that there is an evolutionary process, and women do have a limited biological cycle. As long as women understand that and plan their pregnancy, their marriage centered around it, but it's not the be end. Like I said, it's perfectly okay to get married in your late 20s or early 30s. It was unheard of those days, say about 30 years ago or 25 years ago, and people are delaying marriage to pursue the career. So the middle path would be, even if you're married, or even if you have a child, decide to have a child, I think a career doesn't stop. You
Right.
can very well be a career woman and have children. This whole thought process that once you have children
Right,
and
Sarah.
your career is going to end, I think that is a wrong communication that we're sending out in the public domain. We need to talk about support groups for women who are lactating, or who are in that gestation period, to help them return back to the workplace. HR needs to be more
Right, Sarah.
women friendly, and we need a overhaul of the HR processes that encourage women to come back to the workplace.
Right. Thanks very much, Sarah, for joining us here on NDTV and sharing your views with us.